Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Denise and I am the owner of the Untamed Thread, which is a resale business where I sell clothing, shoes, and handbags for women and men online. And I sell on stores like Shopify. I have my own website, Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. I will leave all those links below if you are interested in checking out what I have in my stores. I would encourage you, if you are interested in buying anything, to go to my Shopify store. I don't have to pay any fees, so that really helps out my business. And if you use code YouTube30, you will get 30% off your order, and I offer free shipping for orders $45 or more, or a flat shipping fee rate of $5.99. So great deal. So welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome, and thank you for finding me. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back and supporting my channel. Today I'm going to do just a couple of things. One is I think I'll do a studio tour so you can kind of see where I make the magic happen with my reselling business. And then second, I'm just going to do a little bit of a chat. I've been kind of teasing in my other videos about talking about how my thrift stores have changed here in the last couple of years, and kind of significantly for me as a reseller in 2025. So how I source may look a little bit different. If you are interested in seeing where I work and having that little chat, please stay tuned. All right, so as I said in my intro, we'll start with a little bit of a studio tour. I will turn the camera around in a moment, but I just wanted to let you know that I live in a condo, so I don't have room to store all of my inventory. So I've had to rent office space, and I was lucky enough to find enough space for myself, and I am literally within a couple blocks of my house, so I can walk here, and if I ever need to do anything or come back and take measurements, it's not that inconvenient for me, and the price is actually really good. So the space that you're going to see today is a little bit downsized from what I initially rented a couple of years ago when I was a full-time reseller. So again, I'm about a 2/3 time reseller. If you go back to my intro video, I kind of explain that, but I do reselling. I also consult for a human services organization, and I teach hot yoga as well. So kind of mixing it all together is what I do. So I would say I'm not quite a full-time reseller because I don't have time for full-time, but maybe 2/3. So initially, I had rented this space that you'll see today, and this was mainly just to store all of my inventory. So what I was trying to do was get up to about 2,500 to 3,000 pieces on all of my sites. So as a full-time reseller, that's what I was trying to build up to and maintain. And I got pretty close to that. I think I got, when I was full-time, around 2,800 pieces. And then when I started doing consulting and realizing that I wasn't going to be able to devote this full time, I ended up downsizing my space. So like I said, this space was initially all storage for my inventory. And then I had an office space right next door to me that was more of my processing area. So kind of where I brought all my new inventory in, and then I also processed everything. So entering it into my inventory system, steaming it, tagging it, whatever I needed to do, photograph, before I brought it into my storage space on this side. I also used to do live sales, whole nother video for that in terms of how I'm selling. So I used to do my live sales in that space as well. And then, like I said, I think it was the end of 2022. 2023, where I realized that I'm going to be consulting for a bit and I can't devote it full time. So I'm not able to maintain the inventory that I wanted to, and no longer needed to pay for that additional space. So it's a little tight in here. It works for me, but so let me show you where I make the resale magic happen. All right, let's go. Let's start the tour. So like I said, I work in an office building and I rent a suite here. So you walk down the hall, and then here is my suite number and information. I have a pickup sign there in case anyone orders locally and they would like to pick up their order versus have it shipped and pay for shipping. All right, and then when you walk into the space, there are two sections you can see. So this first section is really my working space. As you can see, I have my little photography studio back there. I use a background remover, so as long as I have enough lighting, I'm not real picky about what the background looks like because it usually takes everything out. And then over here I have kind of a table where I have my computer and I process new clothing. I do my measurements as I'm entering them into my inventory system, which I use List Perfectly. And then if you come over here, these are where I do my flat lays. So what I did was just took two folding tables, put them together and put them on an angle, because your girl is getting old and I am not bending over over the floor to do my flat lays. So I just lay them on the table and take the photographs, and that works for me. And then underneath here I just have storage, some more hangers, and my sewing kit in case I want to do just a bit of light sewing, usually just a button here and there. And then I have my mannequin here, which I just started using for dresses. I'm finding that dresses photograph better on a mannequin, especially when you have complicated ones like wrap dresses or strappy ones or even formal ones. They look a little bit better. And this is a standing desk table, so in case I want to move around as I'm entering my inventory or do something else and take my computer, I can take that with me. And then here I have my shipping station. So as you can see, I've got all my shipping boxes on top. I have some more here I need to put there, and they're stored underneath the table, my extras. And then here I have my poly mailers that are organized by size. So if I ship anything other than Poshmark, then I would use those poly mailers. And then I have my marketing cards here, which I put one in every order. I wrap everything in tissue paper, as you can see here. I do use recycled tissue paper because regular tissue paper is not recyclable. And I pay a little extra for it, but I think it's worth it. And then my little tape station and my thank you stickers and some twine. So I wrap everything in tissue. I put a thank you sticker on it. I wrap it with twine and then put my marketing card in there. And then down here, I just have all my cards for my SKUs, my cleaning supplies, anything else that I might need, extra tape, pens, whatever. So this shelf is kind of a catch-all for any other supplies that I need. And then here is where I have my active working rack. So as you can see, I just went to the bins. So we're going to have another bins haul pretty soon. And I hang everything here to get it processed. So from here, I will steam it. I will measure it. I will assign it a SKU, enter it into my inventory system. I keep my hangers underneath my desk, so when I bring my hauls in, I can unload my bags and just hang them here. And then once I have everything processed, they get put into what I'm considering the inventory part of my office. So first of all, before we go there, here is my steamer. And I use a Pure Steam, which I really like. The other one I had broke on me after a year, and I use it a lot, but not that much. So this one has held out for me pretty well. If you're looking for a steamer, it's not crazy expensive, totally worth it. And then here is where I store all of my inventory. So once I process everything, a SKU is assigned, and it's ready to be listed or in my drafts, it'll come onto these racks. And like I said, I store everything on racks. And the SKUs are just in order, starting with, my oldest SKU is 2586. So I have little hang tags on the front here, and it says which SKUs are in which row. So when I go to pull an order, then I know which row of clothing it is in based on the SKU. So everything is organized by SKU number. And it goes all the way right now where I'm up to, it just says 9944 is where it starts, and then it just ends wherever it ends. I think I'm up to 10,000. And where are we at? 10,078 right now. So that's a number I'm at. I don't reuse numbers. So I started at 0. And that is where I'm at right now. And obviously I'll be adding more with the bins haul I just got. All right, so then you walk back into this space. I have some extra racks here. I think I had mentioned earlier that I initially had 2 spaces, and this was just my inventory space. So some of the things I'm showing you today were actually stored in the first part of the office. But I had to downsize, and so I had extra racks, and that's where those are for right now. Then let me back up here. I have some shelving here. This is where I keep some extra boxes. I keep my shoes over here. These shoes were new without tags, already come in bags, so I have them. I had the SKU written on the bag instead of putting them in boxes. It was just easier to keep them where they were. Otherwise, if I have loose shoes without boxes, I do store them in USPS boxes because that is the easiest way for me to keep them organized and keep them stored. I used to have shoe racks and they collapsed on me. And I saw someone else doing this and I'm like, that is genius. Why don't I do that? Most of my things sell off of Poshmark anyway, so I can just keep them in the box. And if not, I'll just find another box for them. And then as you can see here, each box has its SKU written on it, so I know exactly where to find the shoes. And then over here, this looks like a hot mess, kind of is, but these are all my extra shipping boxes. So I often ask my neighbors in my condo if they have any boxes to spare instead of putting them in the recycling bin. And they can just leave them at my door, and they've been very generous to do so. So rarely would I ever have to buy boxes. The only boxes I buy are larger ones, either to send things to ThredUp or for my source to sell boxes that I was selling on my website. So those are the boxes that are available to other resellers if you're looking for some inventory. I have one more left here. This is a men's box. And then if I continue to do these, I'll definitely do a video on what goes in these boxes. I don't break down the boxes. I know it would be a lot easier to store, but then I just have to put them back together again, and that's a waste of tape, in my opinion. So as long as I have the space, I'm going to store them like this. And then here I have a couple other shelves. These mainly hold jeans and maybe some shorts. So I have a SKU written on each of these as well. Again, they're all in order. So I usually know if, when I'm looking at my inventory, if I need to go to a rack or to like get jeans, because jeans are usually flat lays. So when I look at the picture, I realize if I don't have it hanging on a hanger, then it's likely in this spot. And if not, sometimes I have to check both spots, but usually I'm pretty good at knowing where it's at. And then up here, we just have other extra boxes of random inventory. Usually these are duplicates, or if I have a very large order of a liquidation box, I may have put them in here just to keep them together. So like, for example, this box here is an Untuck It box, new with tags Untuck It t-shirts, or I'm sorry, button-down shirts. And so those are all in here, and I know that. So if I ever sell those, I can go in there. And there were a lot of duplicates, so it was just easier for me to do it that way. And then things that are kind of hard to put on hangers or fold. So I have swimsuits here, I have scarves, some other accessories. Again, these are duplicates over here. So once I take the last one from the rack, I either might replace it or just make a note that it is folded. And then I have a couple of bins worth of purses. I have one here. I have a purse one here. And then I've got some purses also stored back here. I don't sell a ton of purses. I used to get purse boxes from ThredUp, but they've really gone down in quality, so I don't anymore. I don't find a whole lot in the thrift store, so if I find something, I do. If I don't, I don't. And then these boxes here are, these all need to go to Goodwill, so they've been waiting for me to actually take them. So those might have been things that I bought from the bins that ended up being damaged, I couldn't sell, or something else, or maybe I'm cleaning out inventory and I went ahead and went to donate some things. So that is pretty much my space and my working area and how I store my inventory. And if you would like to just leave a comment below on how you organize yourself and how you store your inventory, do you store it at home? Do you have an office space or another studio space for yourself to use? I'd be very curious to know. It's always very interesting to me. All right, so now I'm going to turn the camera back around, and then we can have the rest of our little chat. All right, I am back. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I am also always very curious about how people's spaces are set up and how they work. So hopefully that would give you a little insight to how I'm working here and what I'm doing. It's also interesting to see how people store their inventory. I know that not everyone has the option to rent some space, and maybe they have to stack bins on shelving or something like that. When I used to keep my inventory at home, I was doing that, stacking bins on shelving, still keeping up with my SKU system. So numbering everything in order and then rotating the bins as needed. But when I moved here, I just thought it would be so much easier to hang everything on racks, and it's so easy to pull when I get an order and have to ship. All right, so the next part of the video, I'm just gonna have a little chat. I'm gonna try not to make it too long, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how my thrift stores have changed over the years and how that's impacted my sourcing. And I think eventually I'll do a whole nother video on sourcing strategy and what I've done in the past, the pros and cons of each. Not saying that what I do for my business is completely what you should do for yours, but it's just, again, interesting to hear how other resellers have had to evolve or pivot their sourcing based on what works for them and how the world has changed or how other businesses have changed, how the platforms have changed. I've been kind of teasing these changes in my last couple videos around my own thrift stores, and I'm specifically going to talk about Goodwill. I will call it the Blue Store from now on, even though I'm kind of shouting them out already, but I just don't want to say their name too much in the video. So I'm going to go back to prior to 2024. So like I said, most of my sourcing I do with the bins now, but I did not always have the bins. There have been bin stores in Wisconsin, but they were not really in a location that was convenient for me. I would have to drive over an hour to get to a bin store. So it's just not something that I ever did. And then I heard horror stories about the bins. This is prior to COVID, where there are a ton of people just all waiting in line and then all fighting with each other in the bins and elbowing each other, and just, it looked crazy to me. And I just said I did not want to participate in that. In our bins that ended up opening closer to my home, it's about 20 to 25 minute drive for me, so not so bad. After COVID, they had only one person per bin, and they've kept to that. So when you go to the stores, you are the only person that can be in the bin at one time, which is really nice because you have your space. Secondly, the bins that I go to are not that crowded, so they started out with very few people because they advertised it, but not a whole lot. So for the first probably 4 or 5 months of going there, there'd maybe be 10 people in the whole store. And it's a huge bin store, I would say, or a huge outlet, I should call it. And most of those people that go to that outlet store that I go to are kind of the Depop sellers or the t-shirt bros or whatever you want to call them. So we are really not searching for the same things, which works, I think, for both of us. But there are some people that go there, they're looking for all kinds of things. There are very few personal shoppers. And so when I talk a little bit about thrift stores and the bins and how I get my inventory, I do want to just throw out a disclaimer right away that I do understand that thrift stores, whether it's outlets or regular thrift stores, are not here to support my business. So if they raise their prices, if they do something else with their business model and I can no longer shop there, I'm not going to complain about it. This is not a complaint video. It's just about the changes that have happened. They are not here to serve me in my business, and I have to know that and accept that. And as I move forward, I just need to change how I find things. I also know that there are people that will say that we're stealing from the poor, we're taking all the good things as resellers, and I will also be here to tell you that that is not true, that only about 15% of clothing or shoes or whatever's in the thrift stores actually get purchased, and the rest of it will likely first maybe go to an outlet store or a bin store like I go to, and then end up in a landfill. So there's plenty to go around. Likely do a whole nother video on the impact of overconsumption and fast fashion and all of that on our environment, on the world, because it is pretty atrocious how much waste that there is. Now, do I pick up good things? Absolutely. Do other people have the same opportunity to pick those up? Absolutely. So again, I will save that all for another video, and if you want to come at me at the comments in that video, go ahead. But I'm going to come back to the bins in the thrift stores. I typically thrifted at the Blue stores most of the time. We have some other thrift stores in the area, but the inventory isn't that great. A lot of more stuff is like dirty and dingy and stained and torn. So prior to 2024, the Blue stores had several different discounts that they offered. One being their tag sale, tag of the week sale. So there was always a color tag of the week, and that changed on Tuesdays. And if you bought that color tag, you immediately got 50% off. So it didn't matter if you were a Perks reward member or anything else. If the tag was green that week and you got a green item, you got half off. They also had another discount where it was Customer Appreciation Day, and that was typically the second Tuesday of the month. And if you were a Perks member and you bought $10 worth of whatever items, you got 10% off. If you bought $15 worth, you got 15% off. $25 or more, you got 25% off. And then they had discounts for veterans, discounts for seniors. I don't qualify for either of those. Senior discount, not quite yet. So I'm not sure if you had to be a Perks member or not, or that was just, you know, you just had to show that you were either a senior or a veteran. And then they had the birthday discount. So if it was your birthday month, and again, I think you had to be a Perks Rewards member because they had to have your birthday in the system, you would pick a day that month to shop, and you could shop as many stores that you would like, and then you would get 20% off your total order. And the picking of the day of the month really just depended on you. So your day would be, if you went into a store one day on your birthday month and you purchased something, then that just became your day. So then you could go to any other store and as many as you wanted and still get that 20% off, but just for that one day. So that was kind of prior to 2024. So if you can imagine that the best days for me as a reseller to source would be on Customer Appreciation Day on my birthday month, which is actually October. So if I went on the second Tuesday of October, I got the extra discount. I always bought $25 or more, so that was 25% off. I get the 20% off for my birthday in addition, and if I got a color tag, that was another half off. So if you do the math on that, real math, not just girl math, if you do the math on that, that's significant discount. And I typically, when I went to a regular thrift store, I would spend probably anywhere between $140 or $50 to almost $200. So I really made use of my time there. I made use of discounts, but I would still spend quite a bit. All right, fast forward to 2024. In the middle of 2024, I think it was around the summer, the first change that they made, which started kind of being the red flags that something was going on, was the Customer Appreciation Day. So they no longer did the buy a certain amount, get a percentage off, but it became buy 3, get 1 free. And of course, the free thing was the lesser of all values. So that was kind of a bummer because I thought, well, I can still go in, I still pick up a lot of pieces, so getting every fourth one free isn't a bad deal. And if I can still get the focus on the color tag of the week, I'm not doing too bad. And by this time, the bins had already opened. I think our bin stores opened in 2023, like the summer of 2023. So thrift stores were only a little bit of a backup for me, like if I didn't have time to go to the bins, or I just needed some inventory to get me through the rest of the week. Then I would go to the thrift store, or if it was, you know, a good discount day for me, like Customer Appreciation Day, then I would use that discount to go. And then I went, the other change that they made in 2024 is I went during my birthday month, thinking it was the 20% off for one day. So I went in, my cart was full, I got up to the front, and it rang up as with no discount. And I said, well, don't you still offer the birthday discount? And she said, well, we do, but we don't have that in your account. So for some reason, they've always had 2 accounts for me, one with an address, one without. I don't know why. So I told her that she's probably pulled up the wrong account. And so when she pulled up, for her to use my other account, she would have had to delete my entire order and start over again. And that day I had a lot. I probably had almost 50 pieces. So she said, well, I'll just give you the 15% off for your birthday. And I said, I thought it was 20% off. And she said, no, we changed it. It's 15% off, but you can go 3 days out of the month instead of one. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll take that. I'll take 3 days. And because she already had kind of, because she had not used that particular account with my birthday, I had actually another 3 days. So I got 4 days that month because she just gave me the 15% off the order. So that was the difference in the birthday. And then Happy New Year 2025 comes, and I ended up saying, well, I'm going to go to the thrift store one day because I didn't have time to go to the bins, but I had been obviously very busy over the holidays like everyone else. I just needed some inventory to get through kind of a week before I could get to the bins. So I walk in and I'm looking for the color tag. So usually they have signs hanging from the ceiling saying, you know, the green tag, the pink tag, whatever of the week. And there was no signs. So I saw an employee and I said, hey, are you still doing the color tags of the week? And he said, no, we stopped doing that at the beginning of the year as of January 1st. And I'm like, really? And he said, yeah, they gave us all kinds of talking points, but basically we lost a lot of money last year. And so we've gotten rid of our discounts, and we're just going to change our pricing, make it a little bit more reasonable. But yeah, we don't have a color tag sale anymore. And I was stood there like stumped, and I looked at a couple of pieces and I'm like, well, as a reseller, this will not work for me because they haven't gone through all their stores and repriced everything. So I left. Ended up having to drive to the bins because I needed things. So not really what I wanted to do that day, but I'm like, well, I have a couple of hours, so let's just see what we can get. And I'll just get into my opinion about that in a minute. And maybe if the Blue stores are watching, I have an idea for you. A little self-serving, but maybe an idea. So I went to the bins, I get back, and I started looking then at their discounts, and I realized it wasn't just the blue tags that they were giving up, it was everything. There's no more Customer Appreciation Day, obviously no more tag sales, no more veteran or senior discounts. And the birthday month, all it says on there is that you can get 15% off during your birthday month, but it doesn't say how many times you can shop. So I'm not sure if it's limited to that 3 times or any time that you go during your birthday month. I guess I'll find out in October. I'm not sure. So they have literally taken away all of their discounts. And now they're really pushing the rewards program, which, by the way, so if you were in the rewards program, you would get a point for every dollar that you spent, and then up to a certain amount of points or whatever, you get a discount off your order if you wanted to take it that day. And so when I was shopping and, you know, spending the $150 to $200 at each time I went shopping, when I'd come back the next time, I usually had a $5 or $10 or $15 discount off my full order. So I had that as well. Now, I do understand that that was a lot of discounts, and there's some of us that would take advantage of the multiple discounts that were offered, like that Customer Appreciation Day, color tag, and birthday month. I really did well on those days in terms of cost of goods. But I also know, and I'm thinking that when I walked out of the store on that day, I'm like, boy, I was ready to probably spend, again, about $150, and they lost out. Because your average thrift store shopper is not spending $150 every time they go to the thrift store. Maybe $30, maybe $20, maybe $50, but not on a regular basis. And so it is very unlikely that I will be shopping at any of the Blue stores, their regular thrift stores, unless they're giving a really good discount. And now they do put some discounts on their website. So during the month, they'll say, oh, for this 2 weeks, get $10 off, you know, if you spend $50, or get double or triple rewards points for everything that you buy. For me, that's not enough of an incentive because their prices are still fairly high, and maybe I'll check back in a little while and see if their pricing strategy has changed a bit, because they're still charging you know, $30 for a North Face coat. They're still charging $12.99 for a White House Black Market dress, or an Ann Taylor dress or something like that. So for me, it isn't worth it. For the casual shopper, that's a very good deal to find that kind of pricing for something that's a little bit more expensive. The other thing that changed was the bins, which I also did not realize until I went a couple of times this year. That first time I went on a whim, I didn't get a whole lot. I think maybe I got like 30 pounds. So I didn't really notice. And in my previous video, I talked about how it used to be where the pricing is $1.59 a pound. And if you had bought 25 pounds or more, then they gave you a discount of $1.29 a pound. Again, this is soft goods. This is just clothing, not shoes or handbags. And then I went that time and I looked at my receipt, and it was, they charged me the $1.59. And I'm like, well, maybe I didn't get 30 pounds, or maybe I got under 25. I really didn't know. And it doesn't like say, or I couldn't find where the poundage was on the receipt. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. So then I went another time and I decided to look on the signs on the wall, and it said, if you buy 50 pounds or more, you get the discount. And I'm like, well, maybe I remembered that wrong from before. Maybe it was always 50 pounds or more, because I would clean up a lot at the bins, and I would have a lot, probably spending anywhere from, you know, $75 to $100 at the bins when I would go. So I'm like, that surely had to be 50 pounds or more. And then when I got home, I'm like, gosh, this doesn't seem right, because that seemed like a lot. And usually I get $1.29 or pay $1.29. So I went back and looked at my old receipts, and sure enough, it did used to be 25 pounds or more was the discount. And now they changed that to 50 pounds or more to get that $1.29 discount. So, I mean, still $1.59 is not bad. I'm still doing pretty well with my cost of goods. If you saw my last haul that I did, or the one actually, yeah, or it's going to be coming up. I can't remember if it's the one I did last time, but I think my first one I posted my video on, it was $1.23 per piece. And this last one I did was $1.05 per piece. So it just depends on what you're getting. So that's still a great cost of goods. I just didn't know that they changed the threshold for the discount. So in a nutshell, I know that was a lot, but those are the changes that our Blue stores have made this year. So really my strategy is to focus on going to the bins as much as possible and spending as much time there as possible, which has always been the best for me from a reseller standpoint, because my cost of goods is the lowest there. And my strategy there too is not to pick up a certain amount of pieces or a certain amount of pounds. I really just try to find the best things that I can, and some days hit really well and some days don't. And I try not to force buying more things just because I don't have a lot, and then that inventory sits or it doesn't sell or it wasn't worth my time. But probably my only strategy there is to really try to find 2 to 3 pieces that will pay for the entire haul. And then the rest I know is just gravy. So the first video, again, that I did for you with my bins haul has already been paid for, and I think I've already tripled my total for that day at the bins, and I've only sold, I think, 8 or 9 pieces out of that haul, maybe 10. So, and there were 59 pieces. So, I mean, for me, that is really my strategy, trying to find a few pieces that will pay for the whole haul. So I would be very interested and very curious for you to let me know in the comments how your thrift stores have changed over the past years, whether it's their pricing strategy, their discount strategy, because I'm very curious to know whether or not it's just my area. Again, I'm in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, and so this is kind of my reality here. The other thing I just wanted to say, and this is, again, just my own commentary and my own opinion, I really feel like there's an opportunity to have if they're really losing money because they think it's the discounts that are causing that, maybe I agree with that. I don't know their business model. I don't work there. But just from an observer on the outside, Your typical shopper, again, is not necessarily buying in volume. And the people buying in volume are usually people like me, or maybe somebody that's looking, working for a charity. There are some people that come to our bins that pretty much get all the shoes, like except for heels, but their carts are full with shoes. So my guess is that they're either donating to a charity, it's going to a different cause, maybe a homeless shelter, maybe they're sending it back to family or another country or something like that. I don't know. But there's a couple people that just are looking for shoes and they completely fill up their carts with shoes. So there might be some other people that are doing charitable work that'll buy in volume. But I don't mind going to the bins. I don't mind picking through things. My only criticism of that is by the time an item gets through some of the bins and gets mixed in with some of the other pieces that are not desirable, it can sometimes ruin things. So I've found some really nice pieces, new with tags, and they're next to something that was dingy and dirty, and now it's stained, or now there's color transfer. Or there's just something really weird on it. The bins are not the cleanest to go through, but it is what it is. I just feel like there's a step in between maybe the thrift stores and the bins. And maybe it's, I don't know, calling all resellers, and maybe it's by a lottery, or maybe sign up, first come, first serve, where they can invite so many resellers to a store before they actually send everything to the bins, and then charge us maybe double what we would typically pay at the bins, and we can pick out kind of what we want. And I know, again, that's cherry picking items, but those pieces were already pulled. They're already going to the bin store, and if somebody isn't going to pick them up at the bins, they're likely going into a landfill. So it's another opportunity to take some of those really nice pieces that should be in somebody else's hands, on somebody else's back, instead of maybe eventually ending up in a landfill. And they could make a little bit more money that way. So I just think that, like, that's another idea. It also would save them some costs, because they, first of all, have to clean out all those pieces from the store. They get loaded into a truck. They have to pay for the truck. They have to pay for the gas. They have to pay for somebody to drive all that to a bin store. And once again, we only have 3 in our area. So one's a little bit farther, kind of northern Wisconsin, and then we have one in the Milwaukee area, and then one kind of south near the Racine-Kenosha area, I think in Sturtevant. And so that's it for Wisconsin that I'm aware of in terms of outlet stores. So any of our Goodwill stores in the state, if they are utilizing the bins, then they have to get the stuff there. So if we're able to take most of that off of their hands, or at least some of it, maybe that could save them some costs. So that's just my little plug. Again, it's kind of a selfish plug because I am a reseller. Once again, I don't mind going to the bins. I will keep going to the bins, but my guess is that a lot of things that are in the thrift stores now that they have priced for whatever price it is, especially things that are priced a little higher, are probably not going to sell to the average consumer, and they're going to end up at the bin. So instead of somebody paying $12.99 for it, or even $7.99, then I'm going to end up picking it up for maybe $1, $1.05, $1.20. So I don't know how that makes sense from a business model on their end, but they're probably trying to figure it out too, and I don't have all the answers. Obviously, I like I said, I don't work there, and I'm not sure what they're struggling with, but you know, I'm just putting it out there in case anyone is watching and would like to engage resellers in the conversation, because we are here to do the same, which is to make sure that pre-loved clothing and items and other things are really being used over and over again, or as much as possible, saving them from going into the landfill, because the landfills are ridiculously overfull and really causing a problem in our environment. So welcome to my TED Talk on that. I think that is it for my chatty chat today. If you did like this video, like the content of me showing you my studio space and also this little chat, please give this video a like. And if you'd like to see more reseller content, please also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload new videos. I'm trying to upload videos on Mondays and Thursdays. So I'm going to see if I can keep up with that. Again, I'm a new channel, so I'm just figuring out how to create enough content to be able to do that. But thank you again for stopping by, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. you.